Hey, everybody, it's Tyler Skinner again with Women Making Waves. I am so excited to be able to hang out with Jacqueline Wales. She is an author, a speaker, a writer. She's written When the Crow Sings, which is a novel. If you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage it. And The Fearless Factor, also The Fearless Factor at Work. And now her newest work coming out soon, which is Fearless Women Lead the Way, which is the one I'm kind of most excited about because that's what we're all about here at Women Making Waves. She's also been an executive coach and a facilitator. So Jacqueline, thank you for joining us today as we embark on Hear Me Roar, our theme for August, which is really, really important to us to talk to women who are basically fearless, who are out there doing big things in the world and making big waves. So thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, Tyler. And of course, women really do need to learn how to roar. And, given that you're a Leo and lions roar, I think it's great. So I'm all for it.
Perfect.
Voice.
We do need to use our voice more. And I think that that's something you and I share that passion for talking about that, especially when it comes to women. I wanted to take this time to go into a little bit about where the fearlessness came. You do the Fearless Factor, and this is something really important in your work. Everything you do from trainings to courses and the work you do with individuals and teams. But what does that mean for you? How did that get started? How are you fearless? And what does that actually mean?
So I'm asked this question a lot, and the truth of the matter is it started when I was quite small. I grew up with a father who was an alcoholic and his response to his anger and disappointment, resentment was his fists. And of course, we suffered a great deal of violence at his hands. And I grew up with a really low sense of self-esteem. I basically was told for years I would never amount to anything. And there was no expectations for me to go forth into the world and do anything. And of course, my behavior mirrored that very well through drug and alcohol abuse, through unwanted pregnancies, just through general self-abuse, frankly, that went on for about the first 30 years of my life and continued. And it wasn't until I was about 35 when I got pregnant for the third time and realized that I needed to get my life together because my children deserved better. And that was a big piece. By then, I'd already given up a child for adoption. I'd left my son with his father. So this third child was really like, the pivot point of what are you going to do with your life? Are you going to keep going the way you're going or do it better? So doing it better became the piece. And I spent the next probably 14 years really transforming myself inside out. So I became a writer, I became a singer, I took up martial arts, traveled the globe, and did my best with the children that I had. And by then I had 4 children in my life, including a stepdaughter who came from Thailand, a complete stranger. So I had to, adjust to that and her to me, of course. And that was another part of the journey. So it really was, it was something. And when I was presented with the idea of teaching people about fear, it was because I had walked the walk and talked the talk. I had lacked confidence. I didn't have any sense of my own competence. I didn't have any sense of how to raise my voice. And people would say to me, why are you playing so small? And all I could do was go, well, it's this, it's that, yeah. Anyways, it took a long time for me to finally get to a point where I'm willing to talk, willing to speak up, willing to be fearless in my life. And the Fearless Factor, came about because people wanted to hear more about it. And so I interviewed a bunch of people and told a lot about my own story with regards to this. And that was really a kind of inspiration, motivation for a lot of people. And then the Fearless Factor at Work was simply because I've worked with a lot of people in the workplace who were, again, struggling with their own lack of confidence and ability to speak up, self-doubt. You name it, there's a theme here and it's pretty common. And so, here we are. And Fearless Women Leading the Way is about accomplished women who've also met their own fears and become highly successful regardless. So it's that thing about being fearless is not the absence of fear, but it's the courage to take the next step. So you got the long answer, but that's the whole story right there.
I love the story. And I love how fearlessly you share it. I mean, I think that's the courage right there to share and be vulnerable. And I heard a couple of things in that. I heard connection, desiring that deeper connection with yourself to learn about yourself and learn about what you could do, what's possible, and then belief and also choice, having a choice, making that choice. Because I think given what the circumstances that you just shared, not everybody would make those same choices. And I know that. I know many people that have not made those same choices. And so having this ability and this using your voice, using your pen as your sword, so to speak, being able to go out and share that with others, how has that been for you as far as receiving? What are you feeling from women, from the population in general, like with the people that you work with and that you've come encounter with?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a resonance. I tell my stories and I get a lot of nodding at the heads. I mean, people recognize themselves in a lot of what I have to share, which is, I'm here simply, it's not about me at this point in time. It's about being of service. It's about being of service to people who maybe need to hear this in order to understand that you have an option, you have choices, you can make different decisions. People talk to me about the fear of failure, for instance, and I like to say the fear of failure is simply a choice, a decision, or an expectation that did not go the way that you had planned. So there's only one option after that, is to take the next step and figure out whatever that is, And so, I like to say, let's address that, because it really is, it's a big deal. And most fears are imagination based. I talk about this a lot in my work and when I'm coaching my clients, or I'm doing masterminds or whatever, is like, let's look at the stories you tell yourself. Do you have empirical evidence that your story is true? And the answer probably is no, it's not true. So you're just making up a story to address the uncertainty, the worries, the anxieties, you name it. And also most people are tied up in the future of what might happen, as opposed to staying in the present, which is, this is your reality. This is it. There is nothing else that you can talk about except right now. 5 minutes ago, and what I said 5 minutes ago, if you say to me, what did you say 5 minutes ago? I'll tell you, I don't know. I have no idea. You better listen to the recording. 5 minutes from now, I don't know either, because there could be a big earthquake. The house would fall down. Who knows? And the truth of the matter is, here's your reality right now. So question yourself. Ask yourself, when you're doing the whole dance around the fears, is it true? If you have any evidence, no evidence, well, you're just making the shit up, frankly.
Just making it up as you go. We've actually talked about that often on our platform, as we're making it up as we go. And it scares some people. It scares us sometimes, but it also scares others to say that. You don't have a business plan. You don't have it all laid out. Everything's not perfectly in place all the time. And it's like, no, that's not necessary, I think. And I think your story really allows us to see that people can go through a lot of really hard things and come out on the other side with this ability to say, I'm going to do something with that. I'm going to take up space in the world. I'm going to share with others so that others can benefit. They can learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. If you're making up stuff as you go along, make it positive. Don't make it the negative, because that's a default right there. I'll make up stuff as I go along, and oh my God, it's going to be like, bad stuff. But what if you do take the option of, I have no idea how this is going to work out, but I'm going to go there anyway, and we'll just see what happens, because really, as I say, life is a day by day thing. What happens tomorrow? Who knows? You can have a plan, and then God has a sense of humor, and forget about it. It's going to go sideways. So you have to learn how to be resilient. You have to learn how to adjust yourself to whatever is happening. I mean, I've had years in my business where it went completely downhill, and I was like, where's the clients? What am I going to do for income? No idea. But I always believed that what I had to offer was something worth hanging on to. So lean years, big time years, who the hell knows? But throughout it all, and I've been doing this for nearly 16 years now, there's been, and I started with nothing more than an idea. Let's get that straight. I didn't have any background at all. It was just a good idea and somebody encouraging me to go further with it. But here we are, and I've always believed that throughout these years, what I have to do is what I'm put here to do, frankly. It's like, this is my reason for being. And
You're in it.
I'm in it. And that's the other thing. You got to make the commitment to be in it. If you're only half-hearted about it, then yeah, you'll get the results you're looking for, which is probably not much. But if you make that commitment to be fully engaged in whatever your choices are, and then figure out, if it doesn't work out, you'll pivot. You'll take a different direction. You'll make an adjustment. Life is all about making adjustments. It's like, when I'm writing my books, let's put it that way. I write a book, but it's not the first edit that I'm going to send out into the world. And it may not even be the 5th or 6th edit that I send out into the world. It could be the 7th or 8th edit.
Wow.
Before I finally get to a place where I go, this is good enough, ready to let it go. So
I like that, ready to let it go. Wow.
Life is an iteration. Writing a book is an iteration. And we like to say writing is rewriting. And that's really what it's about. Somebody asked me this morning, how do you write a book? It's like, well, put words on paper and you try to make it sound like you know what you're talking about, but you won't do that right out the gate, because the first draft is usually the shitty first draft. And it's the same thing with anything that you're doing that's new in the world. It's a shitty first draft, and you might as well get over it.
I love that. If you look at life as a shitty first draft, then everything seems, I think just that right there can make people feel that's disarming. That feels like so relatable in a way, just to say, yeah, I could just throw some pen to paper and I could just write out my ideas. A lot of women journal, we do all these things. So that makes sense, right? We're manifesting, yeah. We're writing out what we want, we're asking the universe for, then put it out there and see what happens, what comes up. And you can find the editors and all the copywriters and all the other people to help you put that together and make it sound good. The other thing that I wanted to ask, as I know we have a few more minutes, but one of the things we like to do at Women Making Waves, it's a big part of it, is we inspire, but we call to action. So I would love to hear from you, Jacqueline. It sounds like, I know you've given us a couple already in this conversation, but you've inspired us as well very, very much in this short amount of time. I know a lot of women that are going to really resonate with this and say, I could do this too. And I think my goal with Hear Me Roar is, what do you feel like is really, really important? All the work you've done, all of your life, everything you can think about, what is one thing maybe you could pinpoint for us that's saying, I want women to know this. I want them to do this thing.
I want you to question your thinking. Question yourself. Take the time to self-reflect. Ask yourself what's working, what's not working. And if it's not working, ask yourself, what's that about? And really dig in to the hard answers, because there's a lot of stuff that we go, I don't really want to confront, but go confront yourself. That's a big piece right there. Be willing to confront yourself, because we all have BS in our heads. There's no question about that. Again, I'll get back to the stories you tell yourself. Are they true? Are they real? Did somebody else plant that message in your brain when you're listening to the negative voices that are running around? Whose voice is that? I bet you it's not yours. I bet you it's somebody else's who thought it was a good idea that they could undermine you. And so that became the litany that you hear in your own head. So there's a big one right there. Question yourself, number one. Number two is, if you're sitting there going, well, I might fail, might not happen, might not be able to pull that off. Well, try it and see. Try it and see. What do you have to lose? Because you're already losing by the fact that you're sitting still. So give it a go. See what happens. Be fearless. See where it takes you.
Exactly. And as life, you said it yourself, life is an iteration. So we're going to rewrite and edit and keep going till we feel like we're ready to let it go. Yeah. That's exactly let it fly. I love this, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for your time today. I wish we could talk. I know we could talk for hours, but I just appreciate you taking this few minutes just to share who you are and what you do and how you help women really lead the way, in a new age, and be fearless. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Tyler. It's my pleasure to talk to you anytime. You know that.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I agree. So anyone, how can we get a hold of you, get in touch with you? For those of us that are listening, if they want to get in touch and learn more about what you have going on and your books or your courses or anything else, how can we do that?
So if you go to JacquelineWales.com, just my name, JacquelineWales.com, that's my website, and there's a lot on there, including a little PDF that if you download it, will give you a little bit about what fears are getting in your way. It's a little exercise that I offer as a PDF on the front page of my website. So go ahead and take a look. There's also some courses there, and I don't know, take a look. You might find something interesting. And if you need to talk to me, just send me a note. I'll be happy to do so.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Jacqueline, so much. You have a wonderful rest of your day, and we're just going to keep being fearless. We're going to keep going.
Totally. Thanks, Tyler.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.